Have you ever fallen for someone, only to realize later that she wasn't the person you thought she was? Maybe at first she seemed charming, fun, and even irresistible. But as time passed, her true colors began to show. You noticed things that didn't sit right, little cracks in her character, choices that revealed something deeper, something foolish. Now let me ask you this, what if you could see those warning signs from the very beginning? What if you could avoid heartbreak, wasted time, and regret, simply by understanding what Marcus Aurelius and the Stoics already knew about human behavior? Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe to the channel Stoic Sage, hit the like button, and watch this video till the very end, because what you're about to hear doesn't just expose the signs of a foolish woman, it will transform how you see relationships and ultimately how you protect your love life. So let's begin this journey through the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius, through the lens of Stoic philosophy, and through the lessons of real human nature. One, she thinks emotions are reality. Do you remember the first time you fell in love? The way your heart raced when her name appeared on your phone? The way a simple smile from her could light up your whole day? Love is powerful, isn't it? It has the ability to make us feel like we're walking on clouds. But let me tell you a story. There was a man, let's call him Daniel. When Daniel first met her, he thought she was everything he had ever wanted. Beautiful, exciting, and full of passion. Their first dates felt like magic. But over time, something started to change. He noticed that whenever she felt insecure or upset, she treated her emotions as undeniable truth. If she felt jealous, she decided he must be unfaithful. If she felt sad, she assumed he didn't care. If she was angry, she believed he was the cause. No matter what the reality was, her emotions became the reality. And Daniel, like many of us, tried to calm her. He reminded her of his loyalty, his love, his dedication. But here's the painful truth. When someone cannot separate emotion from fact, no amount of reassurance will ever be enough. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." In other words, it's not the world that hurts us, it's how we interpret it. But a foolish woman refuses to see this. Instead, she lives like a prisoner of her moods, and everyone who loves her gets chained in that same prison. Now think about your own love story. Have you ever been in a moment where your partner misunderstood you? Not because of what you said, but because of how she felt in that instant? It hurts, doesn't it? Because love is supposed to be built on truth, not illusions. A wise woman may feel jealousy, anger, or sadness, but she pauses. She reflects. She asks herself, is this real or just how I feel? But a foolish woman doesn't pause, she reacts. And in that reaction, relationships are broken, trust is shattered, and love slowly bleeds out. The question is, do you want a partner who lets emotions guide her life like storms tossing a ship at sea? Or one who can master her feelings, bringing calm waters to your love story? 2. She lives for appearances, not substance. Have you ever been with someone who seemed to care more about how the world saw your relationship than how it actually felt when it was just the two of you? I'll tell you a story. There was a man named Amir. He had fallen for a woman who seemed dazzling from the very first meeting. She was always dressed to perfection, always taking pictures, always posting about her life online. Their dates were glamorous, expensive dinners, rooftop cafes, the kind of places you'd see in movies. At first, Amir thought, wow, this is amazing. I found someone who loves to make life beautiful. But slowly he began to notice something strange. Whenever they went out, she was more interested in taking the perfect selfie than actually talking to him. Whenever they sat together, she wasn't fully present. Her eyes were glued to her phone, chasing likes, checking who was watching her stories. One evening, he asked her softly, "Do you love me? Or do you love the way we look together?" She laughed it off, but deep inside, he already knew the answer. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be." P1. And that wisdom applies here too. Don't waste time on someone who only wants to look like they are in love, instead of actually being in love. Now think about this in your own life. Have you ever had a partner who was more worried about how you two looked in public than how you connected in private? Did she care more about what others thought than about the love you were giving her? A foolish woman lives for appearances. She measures life by attention, by status, by how glamorous things seem. But here's the truth, appearances fade. Attention disappears. And when that happens, she feels empty, because there was never any depth inside her to begin with. But a wise woman, she values substance. She doesn't care if the world approves of her relationship. She cares about how deeply she feels it. She doesn't need to prove her love online, because she proves it every day in silence, in loyalty, and presence. So ask yourself, do you want a woman who polishes the mask, or a woman who nourishes the soul behind it? She has no control over her desires. Have you ever been in love with someone who seemed unable to say no to herself? No control, no breaks, no discipline, just giving in to every single desire that came her way? I'll share a story with you. There was a man named Hassan. He loved a woman who was full of life, energy, and excitement. At first, he admired her spontaneity. She wanted to travel, shop, try new things, live without limits. It felt adventurous. But soon, Hassan realized that what he once thought was passion was actually lack of control. Whenever she felt bored, she spent money they didn't have. Whenever she craved attention, she flirted with others just to feel wanted. Whenever she felt a desire, no matter how small, she chased it without thinking about tomorrow. Hassan tried to reason with her, but she always said life is short. We should enjoy it. What she didn't see was that she wasn't enjoying life. Life was consuming her. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." A wise woman lives by this. She knows her desires are just impulses, not commands. But a foolish woman? She becomes a slave to those impulses. Now pause for a second and think about your own experiences. Have you ever been with someone who seemed amazing at first, but then you realized she couldn't handle temptation? Maybe she couldn't stop spending, couldn't stay disciplined, couldn't remain loyal because she couldn't master herself. Do you remember how draining that felt? Like you were carrying the weight of two people, yourself and her lack of control. Here's the truth. A woman who has no control over her desires cannot truly love you. Because real love requires discipline, it requires loyalty, patience, sacrifice. If she cannot say no to her impulses, how can she ever say yes to lasting commitment? A wise woman controls her desires. She owns them instead of letting them own her. But a stupid woman lets her impulses lead, and those impulses eventually lead her away from stability, from peace, and from you. So ask yourself, do you want a partner who is in control of her heart and her mind, or one who is constantly ruled by every passing desire? 4. She believes happiness comes from others. Have you ever loved someone who made you feel like no matter what you did, it was never enough? You gave your time, your energy, your heart, but still, she looked at you as if you were failing her? Let me tell you a story. There was a man named Samir. When he first met her, she told him, "You make me so happy. I don't know what I'd do without you." At first, it felt beautiful. He felt chosen, special, like he was the center of her world. But slowly that love turned into a burden. Whenever she was sad, it was his fault. Whenever she felt bored, he wasn't doing enough. Whenever she felt insecure, he had to fix it. Samir realized she didn't know how to create her own joy. She expected him to provide it, like he was her personal happiness machine. And the more he tried, the more drained he became, because happiness borrowed from someone else never lasts. It's like pouring water into a bucket with holes. No matter how much you fill it, it keeps leaking. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." A wise woman knows this. She understands that her happiness is her responsibility. She takes joy from within and then shares that joy with her partner. But a foolish woman, she places that responsibility on others. She thinks, if only he does more, if only he loves me harder, then I'll finally be happy. But the truth is, no man, no relationship, no amount of gifts or words can fix a soul that refuses to take responsibility for itself. Now think about your own love story. Have you ever felt drained because your partner expected you to constantly entertain, constantly reassure, constantly fix their mood? Did it feel like you were carrying their happiness on your shoulders? That, my friend, is one of the clearest signs of foolishness. Because love should be about sharing happiness, not demanding it. A wise woman walks into love already whole, already at peace, already grounded. But a stupid woman believes happiness comes from outside, and that belief will swallow both her peace and yours. So ask yourself, do you want a partner who adds light to your life, or one who demands that you become her only source of it? 5. She disrespects time. What's the most precious thing you've ever given someone you loved? Was it money, gifts, or attention? No, the most valuable gift you can ever give is your time. Because time is life itself, you never get it back once it's gone. But here's the problem. A foolish woman doesn't understand this. She treats time like it's infinite, like it has no value, like wasting it is no big deal. Let me share a story with you. There was a man named Farhan who loved a woman deeply. He gave her his evenings, his weekends, his energy, every moment he could spare. But she never respected it. She made him wait hours before showing up to meet. She canceled plans last minute without a second thought. And even when they were together, she often buried her face in her phone, scrolling endlessly while he sat there wondering, why am I even here? At first, Farhan ignored it. He told himself, she's just busy, she doesn't mean it. But over time, the truth hit him. She didn't value his time because she didn't value him. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good." What he meant was simple. Life is short and time is sacred. To waste someone's time is to waste their life. Now think about your own love story. Have you ever been in a relationship where you felt like your time didn't matter? Maybe she always kept you waiting. Maybe she constantly distracted herself when you were together. Maybe she pulled you into endless arguments over nothing. Do you remember how that felt? Frustrating, draining, like you were invisible. A wise woman honors time. If you give her your presence, she treasures it. If you make space for her, she fills it with meaning. But a foolish woman, she throws away hours, days, even years, never realizing that every wasted moment is another piece of love lost. So ask yourself, do you want a partner who treats your time like gold? Or one who spends it like loose change, never caring how much of your life slips through her fingers? 6. She blames everyone but herself.
Have you ever been in love with someone who never took responsibility?
No matter what happened, somehow, it was always your fault. Or someone else's fault, but never hers. I'll tell you a story. There was a man named Imran. He fell for a woman who, at first, seemed innocent and sweet. But over time, he noticed a pattern. If she failed at something, she blamed her boss. If she argued with friends, it was always because they were jealous. And when their relationship hit struggles, she would look at him and say, "You made me this way. You ruined my happiness." Imran tried to reason with her, to explain that relationships are built on teamwork, that both people must reflect and grow. But she never looked inward. Instead, she turned every conflict into a courtroom, where she was the victim and he was the guilty party. Marcus Aurelius once said, "When you blame others for your troubles, you give away your power." A wise woman understands this. She knows that by owning her mistakes, she gains the power to change them. But a foolish woman, she gives away that power by always pointing fingers. Now think back to your own love life. Have you ever been with someone who twisted every mistake into someone else's fault? Someone who never apologized, never admitted weakness, never once said, "Yes, I was wrong." Do you remember how that felt? Exhausting. Because you ended up carrying not only your share of responsibility, but hers too. A relationship like that drains you. Because love cannot survive without accountability. Without humility, there is no trust. And without trust, there is no future. A wise woman will admit when she's wrong. She will reflect, learn, and grow alongside you. But a foolish woman, she will always find a scapegoat. Her boss, her parents, her past, or worse, you. And slowly, she will turn love into a battlefield where you are the permanent enemy. So ask yourself, do you want a partner who owns her flaws and grows with you? Or one who hides from responsibility and leaves you to carry all the blame? 7. She fears silence and solitude. Do you enjoy silence? Have you ever sat with someone you loved, saying nothing and yet felt everything? That kind of silence where words aren't needed because the connection is strong enough? Now imagine being with someone who can't handle even a moment of it. I'll tell you a story. There was a man named Bilal. He loved a woman who was fun, exciting, and always surrounded by people. At first he thought, she's so full of life, never a dull moment with her. But soon he noticed something unsettling. Whenever they were alone, without music, without TV, without friends, she grew restless. She'd grab her phone, start calling someone, or complain, "Why is it so quiet? Let's go out." Bilal realized she wasn't just avoiding boredom. She was avoiding herself. She feared being alone with her own thoughts, and because of that, she never truly reflected, never grew, never deepened her soul. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Nowhere you can go is more peaceful, more free of interruptions than your own soul." The Stoics believed solitude wasn't emptiness, it was strength. It was the space where you could face yourself honestly. But a foolish woman runs from that. She fills her life with constant noise, constant distraction, constant activity because silence reveals too much. And if she cannot sit peacefully with herself, how can she ever sit peacefully with you? Think about your own love story. Have you ever been with someone who couldn't stop talking? Couldn't stay off their phone? Couldn't just be still with you? Did you ever feel like you weren't enough, that she needed constant stimulation just to feel alive? That's not love, that's escape. A wise woman values silence. She doesn't fear being alone, because she knows her worth doesn't vanish when no one is watching. She can sit beside you in quiet moments, and those quiet moments feel louder than words. But a foolish woman? She fears silence. And so she fills the space with noise until the relationship itself becomes empty. So ask yourself, do you want a partner who runs from herself? Or one who embraces silence, and with it builds a deeper bond with you? 8. She values status over character. Have you ever wondered if someone loved you for who you are or for what you have? It's a painful question, isn't it? Because deep down, every man wants to be valued for his soul, not just his success. Let me share a story. There was a man named Adnan. He had worked hard for years to build a good career. He wasn't the richest man in the city, but he had stability, respect, and a decent lifestyle. Then he met a woman who seemed perfect, beautiful, charming, and very interested in him. At first, he thought she saw the real him, but over time, he began to notice something. She only bragged about him when she was talking about his job title. She showed off the restaurants he could afford to take her to. She cared about how other people saw them more than how they actually felt when they were alone. One evening, Adnan asked her, "If I lost all this tomorrow, my job, my money, my position, would you still be here?" She laughed nervously and changed the subject. That was his answer. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." The Stoics didn't measure people by wealth, rank, or fame. They measured by virtue, by character, by discipline. And here's the truth. A wise woman does the same. But a foolish woman? She confuses status with substance. Now think about your own life. Have you ever felt like someone loved what you could give them, but not who you truly were? Did it feel like you were being used as a ladder, a wallet, or a trophy instead of being seen as a human being with depth? That's the trap of being with a woman who values status over character. When status fades, and it always does, so will her love. A wise woman looks at how a man treats others, how he handles hardship, how he disciplines himself. But a foolish woman? She only sees the surface, the status, the shine. And once that shine dims, so does her loyalty. So ask yourself, do you want someone who admires your soul, or someone who only follows your status? Odds she cannot handle truth. Have you ever tried to tell a woman the truth, only to watch her explode? Cry or twist it back on you? How did that make you feel? Small? Guilty? Or maybe just exhausted? I want to share a story with you. There was a man named Samir. He believed love should be built on honesty. When he entered a relationship with a woman he deeply cared for, he promised himself no lies, no games. If something bothered him, he would tell her. If he noticed her drifting, he would speak up. One evening, he told her gently, "I feel like you've been distant lately. Is something wrong?" Instead of listening, she snapped back, "Why are you always criticizing me? You're the problem, not me." Another time, he gave her sincere advice about her reckless spending. Rather than appreciating his concern, she accused him of trying to control her. Every truth he tried to share turned into a battlefield. Slowly, Samir began to realize she didn't want the truth, she wanted comfort. Even if it was a lie. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, for I seek the truth." This is the mindset of wisdom. But a foolish woman rejects truth because it threatens her ego. She prefers the soft cushion of lies over the sharp edge of honesty. Now let me ask you, have you ever been in love with someone who couldn't handle the truth? Do you remember how draining it felt? Like you had to walk on eggshells just to keep the peace? That's not love, it's a prison. The inability to handle truth is dangerous in relationships. Why? Because love without truth is just an illusion. If she cannot face her own flaws, if she lashes out when you hold up a mirror, she's not ready for growth and she'll drag you down with her. A wise woman embraces truth even when it hurts, because she knows it's the only path to becoming better. A foolish woman, she hides from it, runs from it, and attacks anyone who dares to speak it. So my friend, remember this: if a woman cannot handle truth, she cannot handle love. Closing reflection. So there you have it. 9 signs of a stupid woman, through the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius and the Stoics. But let me ask you one more question before we end. As you listened to these signs, did someone from your past or maybe even your present come to mind? Did you recognize behaviors you've seen before? With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.